Okay. Today we're going to learn the halacha, what's appropriate way to give meiser, how you calculate the 10% or the 20% you give. It's a meiser, a choimesh, how you calculate this. So when you look in the Torah Shulchan Aruch, they just tell you to give the 10% or 20%. They don't tell you how you calculate this. So the Knesset HaGedolah, he says like this. He says some people give tzedakah, but they don't give it the right way. The reason he said they don't give it the right way, because from the beginning they didn't give yet meiser from the keren, from the principal. Meaning, that let's say you're starting a business and you're investing in it. Let's say you got, whether from your parents or somehow you got $100,000. It's yours, $100,000. So before you're starting the business, you have to give a meiser on the keren, on the principal. So some people don't do that. They just start giving meiser on the revochim, on the profit. So that's not the right way. And he says, and that's why when it says over there in the Gemara that Asher v'shushtis Asher, you have to do it the right way. Otherwise, you're not doing the experiment the right way. You're not doing the tzedakah the right way. So that's why he says you should give meiser from the net worth of the principal. And he says the way he learns pshat in the Gemara, with the keren, the choimesh, from the keren, he says, from the principal, you give only 10%. Then he says, after you're already, it's called already kosher money, that you're putting in the business money that's after meiser, he says, then now you have to give from the profit choimesh, 20%. That's how we learn pshat in the Knesset HaGedolah. Then he says another thing which is no one else saying. That's what the punchline of here, why I want to mention him, besides that you have to give from the principal to meiser. He says over here, v'yireh ma sheyarviach yoyser al asher pizer bedvorim atzrichim lebeisoi v'yikach ha-meiser k'mo she'amarti. So according to Knesset HaGedolah, what's the pshat net profit? According to him, net profit after the expenses, not only of the business, of your home. So meaning, when you bring money home, you pay all the bills of the home. After you pay all the bills of the home, and you left money, now you give meiser. He's the only one saying this, that you could take off the home expenses before you give meiser. So by him, net profit, meaning after all your expenses, including your home expenses. Like I said, he's the only one saying it, because anybody else, Halacha Shiur, he said no, you could deduct the business expenses, but what you bring net home, that you have to give first meiser, then spend money for the home. That's what he says. Ubichlal revach, what we call profit, nechshav rak. I'm reading from Halacha Shiur. Rak revach hanoki v'chol ha'otzoes shoylo al ha'esek, and only the expenses and the business what you had, you could take off. Af mashenosa ubaderech v'ochal v'shosa hakol nechshav al ha'otzoes esek umenake hakol. Say if you have a business, let's say you have office expense to pay in the business, you have traveling expense, even you have a meeting, a business meeting, and you're eating over there, or when traveling for business, you have to eat lunch over there. For traveling, all this, it's called business expense. You can take it off. Then when you bring net home, after all, then you give meiser. According to the Halacha Shiur, and like I said, it looks like from most were used. I saw from the Rebbe, I saw from Rav Moshe, they're all saying you have to, you could take off only business expense when you bring money home. That you have to give from the net profit what you bring home before you spend money for the home. You could give meiser. Ad kedei kach Rav Moshe is machmir. Somebody asked him a shaila, if you could, what were the taxes? So be'emes is l'gabe taxes bepashtus. It's brought by Birkei Yosef. It says, "Enon mechuyav lafrish meiser lachar shitol shiur hamas." He says like this: when you let's say whether you work for yourself or for a company, you owe taxes before you take home money. So he says wherever they take for the taxes, also first you give the taxes from the whole amount of what you made profit. Then what left over, that's called your net profit. For the taxes also, you could deduct the taxes before, However, Rav Moshe, when they asked him about the taxes, he said like this, there's a different, which taxes he's talking about, he says. If it's the taxes of income tax, he says, that you could take off first, then give. But when he says the tax is what you have to pay for, like a property tax, or let's say you're going to buy any store today, they charge you sales tax on the store. So you don't make a cheshbon how much I pay taxes, then what's left over I'm paying. No, he says that's called the taxes. They have obligation to pay, like sales tax when you buy something, or property tax. That you cannot take off. So according to Rav Moshe, you could deduct the income tax whenever you bring home check. You bring home net check after the income tax. Then you have part of your expense. You're paying, let's say, your mortgage with taxes. That you have to pay after Meiser. You cannot deduct.
But he would let you deduct your property tax from your business place.
Oh, very good. Property from a business, he says clearly you could do that. Very good. So that's not called income yet. Property is part of my expenses. Insurance, property tax, whatever expense of the business, phone bill of the business, you could take off. Now, sometimes it becomes a little bit confusing. Let's say many people today, they have office at home. So how much can I, for the taxes purpose also, you could take some things for office space maybe over there. Or let's say I drive a car and it's mixed, my car expense and my gas of my car expense is a mix between my personal expenses, between the business. So that's already, you have to somehow, over there, sometimes you cannot become so scientifically perfect with the numbers. You have to make some kind of umdana, some kind of, even the says because tarbe lasser umodos, don't make things from umdana, from approximately, but sometimes you have to. How are you gonna, for example, let's a car, you use both pleasure and business. So sometime over there you have to know more or less which part of the car I'm using for pleasure, which for business, something the gas, something the insurance. So you have to make up something over there, be'erech, let's say it's 50-50, and then the part of the expense of the business you could deduct, and then whatever you bring money home net, that you pay meiser. There's another thing over here the Taz mentioned that's poshut. The Gemara in the Basra said, wherever the goyim taking from us, the taxes, the Gemara says, et bichlal tzedakah nechshav. So according to this, you're going to say, what they take from me taxes, it's also tzedakah. So maybe I could maybe give it as a tzedakah. Give as a tzedakah what the taxes I'm paying from Meiser Geld. So Taz says clearly, the kol sheken liframe misim de osur. You can't say, that's a shtickle element of tzedakah to it. When they take from you, you earn hard money, comes the government, says, I want 20-30% from your money. Why should I give you 20% of my money? But again, it is what it is, but you can't, it's maybe called in some certain way a tzedakah, but you cannot pay that from your meiser money from there. You cannot do that. So l'maisa, what we see over here, according to most opinions, that when you earn money, whatever check you bring home, net check, after paying all your business expenses, before you're paying home expenses, for that you have to pay Meiser Geld, and then whatever you bring home, after that you pay all your expenses, including your property tax. You pay it after you give your Meiser. Okay, if you can turn it off, please. Oh, go. You want to?